This is a moment for me too, so just give me a second. Class of 2025. As I stand here before you today, I truly still feel deeply connected to this place. I look out at all of you, and I remember my own commencement, now 31 years ago, just inside Big Bridges behind us. But just as I see myself in you, I hope you also see yourself in me. And you understand that my remarks to you today come from a place of kinship, admiration, and love for who you are today and who I know you will become when you leave this amazing place. But as much as I recall the mix of excitement and anxiety from Commencement Day 1994, I also find myself thinking about my first days at Pomona, back when you only had to be eager, thoughtful, and reverent to enter through the gates on College Avenue, as opposed to brandishing the already bulging resume of accomplishments required to get into a school like Pomona these days. I remember how intimidating it was to be surrounded by the smartest people I had ever met, wondering if my admittance wasn't the result of some sort of fluke. But my initial brush with this feeling, which I think now we refer to as imposter syndrome, soon gave way to a recurring theme in my Pomona experience: empowerment. From my freshman seminar class, Violence and Nonviolence in Modern Politics, where Professor John Seary led us in a discussion about the movie Do the Right Thing, beginning that Tuesday morning with Public Enemy's lyrics urging us to fight the powers that be. Through the following 4 years of exposure to mind-blowing classes, professors, and intellectually curious students, I began my lifelong obsession with the idea of empowerment for myself, my community, and anyone else in need of advocacy and support. And as I walked through those gates on College Avenue for the last time as a Pomona student, I took those words etched in stone seriously. I was determined to show my loyalty to Pomona College by bearing my added riches in trust for mankind, to use my skills and abilities to make the world a better place. And I was not alone. That's the beauty of Pomona College. Such a small place continually churns out graduates who will never shrink from attacking society's largest challenges. So many of those brilliant students that I found intimidating in my first days at Harwood Hall, some of whom I count among my closest friends today, as you've heard, also dedicated themselves to the pursuit of careers involving civics, philanthropy, research, education, and service. Because to do otherwise, we thought, would be to sell out. And we were not about selling out. We wanted to keep it real. So when I continued my education in law school at UCLA, I turned my nose up at the prospect of working in the private sector. For me, empowerment in the legal profession meant representation in public-facing roles, first as a prosecutor, then judge, then appellate justice. I believed that the upliftment of the underrepresented and pathway to my priorities would be found in our institutions and Constitution. Of course, this was a time when our nation's founding values did not yet smack of mythology as much as they do today. I spent nearly a quarter century in public service, keeping it real. It's only in the past few years, as I began working in the private sector, that I've begun to wonder, maybe we should have had a broader view of what empowerment looks like and how it is to be achieved in the real world. I've seen up close how people like me and my friends devoted their lives and careers to voluntarily making pennies on the dollar in the name of a socially enforced purity of purpose, only to find ourselves and our families further behind those powers that be in measures of financial independence and autonomy, reliant on those very same powers when we want to buy a home, educate our children, or fund our campaigns and nonprofits. It doesn't have to be that way for you if you don't want it to. Today, I encourage you to consider the full array of opportunities attendant to the world-class education and credential that you now have as you chart your own path towards self-determination and empowerment in this society. You might find that it is easier to build the world that you want once you understand the world that you have. And that is still a world in which the best currency is, and probably has always been, currency. You need look no further than your news feed or the student life to realize that our venerated institutions, elected representatives, civic leaders, media, and even our courts will not protect you out of some sort of sense of benevolence. You have to engage them with what you have, not just what you know. Can there be any doubt that the key arguments of the day affecting our communities, politics, media, economy, and even our schools are not won by logic, but by leverage? It may not be enough just to exercise your right to petition and speak out. We have all been witnessing an escalating assault on free expression, a freedom that is far from self-sustaining and cannot be entrusted to a system of so-called checks and balances that seems to care more about the checks that you can write and the balance in your bank account. A former president used to rally his supporters with the slogan, "Don't boo, vote." My message, and to paraphrase the late notorious B.I.G., don't get mad, get money. I realize this may sound cynical or even gross, though I think the parents like this one. But this is truly not about being selfish. It's about being effective. Instead of trying to fight the powers that be the power that fights for what you believe in. Use what Pomona has given you to promote civil rights, media fairness, environmental justice, and political accountability, if that is your choice. But don't sacrifice your power on the altar of keeping it real. Don't pit righteous causes against each other, making them compete for your attention, whether it's for access to the bathroom or access to the boardroom. And don't shy away from addressing the historical wrongs in which we are all implicated by virtue of living in a society built, quite literally, upon those injustices. Use your hard-earned resources to improve the lives of others, especially when their suffering is caused by others connected to us, by history or affinity, either here or in other parts of the world. Responsibility does not have to mean culpability, just an ability to respond. And in that sense, our responsibility for the world around us should be embraced. As you continue on your path, thinking about what you want to do and who you want to be, break free of the mentality that makes foregoing self-determination the cost of self-fulfillment. What you do does not define you. What you have does not define you. What you do with what you have says a lot about who you are. So when you depart from here, if the added riches you bear for mankind are actually your added riches, then that's okay too. Congratulations.